one.
Are you ready?
Nerd Sauce Entertainment presents
The Nerd Pod.
And we're live, everyone. Thank you
back.
for tuning in to the Nerd Pod. We got something special today. Something very, very special that kind of brought us together as friends.
as
Absolutely.
gamers.
Because, you know, me and George go way, way back. To working together in the field. But what brought us together was video games.
Video games.
Brought the nerd out of us.
Absolutely.
And it just connected. And that's something that we grew up with since, what, the 90s? You know,
Absolutely.
since we can remember, you know.
Absolutely.
So we got a gaming episode for everyone today, and we're gonna get saucy with it today. Giovanni.
So,
We're calling this episode "The Games That Made Us."
Yeah.
So
Yes.
to start that off, let's start from the beginning.
Yes.
All right,
Because we have a
so-
lot of names.
So for me, born in '93, earliest game I can remember. I remember Super Smash Brothers, Glover.
wow.
The
Damn, so for you born in 93, your real first memories are of the N64.
Yeah, those are my
Really?
really
Nothing
early
before
games.
that?
A little bit of the Sega. I brought some games here. I got Aladdin. What else did I bring?
Think Sonic.
Sonic. So those are maybe Sonic's the
You know
earliest
what's
game.
crazy that you think about it? Sonic is probably one of the first games I actually
Yeah.
probably played as a
Yeah.
kid.
I was born in 1990, and funny story, those Sega games are the ones that we owned growing up. So if you talk to my mom,
Just as old as us, man.
yeah, if you talk to my mom about it, she'll tell you where I was like, Mom, why did you buy me the Sega Genesis? So I don't know how old I was when she bought that Sega Genesis for me. And she said, well, we bought it for you, talking about her with my dad. They're like, we came to the decision of buying the Sega Genesis for you because we secretly wanted it for us. And we made the excuse of we were buying it for him.
Yeah.
But my mom told me they bought it and my dad and my mom would game on
Yeah,
Pac-Man.
Pac-Man. I didn't bring it, but
Pac-Man.
I have that at my house. Yeah.
So
Pac-Man and Galaga was the old
Galaga,
school.
I
The
remember
old
Galaga.
schoolers, man. They
yeah,
were
old
playing
Galaga
school
was fun.
arcade games, right?
Centipede.
Yeah.
Oh man, the Atari.
So for me, my earliest gaming memory comes from the Sega Genesis.
I agree.
Playing Sonic the Hedgehog. My gosh, NBA Jam.
NBA Jam.
Boom shakalaka.
Man, I don't remember that. Wow.
Yeah, NBA Jam.
NBA Jam.
You ever
Wow.
play NBA Jam?
Bro, no boom
What?
shakalaka.
I
Boom
had to.
shakalaka.
I watched him play. I just
When,
don't
the-
remember.
when you're hot, the ball's on fire.
Yeah, yeah,
and
yeah.
You're just
He's
shooting,
on fire.
You're shooting threes from the back
Yeah.
court, bro. It's crazy.
The boom
Boom
shakalaka
shakalaka.
was like my
It's 2-on-2, breaking
core
ankles
memory.
and everything.
Yeah, 3v3 I think it was.
Okay,
Was it
dude,
three?
what was what was that? FIFA '94?
I think it was 94. FIFA
They
94.
used to play.
Yeah.
The option for FIFA '94 was you could actually play a whole 90-minute game.
Yeah.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
Real time, and he used to
Yeah.
play with my cousin. What was the scores you guys would reach?
Still undefeated.
FIFA 94.
Still
Oh my-
undefeated. Anyone out there? I'll destroy you in FIFA.
Best FIFA '94 player of all time. All time.
All FIFAs. Don't matter. Don't matter the console. Don't matter. But anyways, yeah, FIFA 94. I had NHL hockey like 93, I think it was, or 94, one of the two.
I remember that.
But I remember very much Aladdin. We have that there. It's a classic platform
That was
game.
a good game, actually.
Classic
Tough
platform
game for
Very
my
tough game.
5-year-old me.
Jurassic Park was another one that I played a lot on the Sega Genesis.
Did you ever play the Batman game on the
Oh
Sega?
yes, Batman
Bat-
Returns,
Batman
man.
Returns,
Yeah,
Don't know
Batman
what happened
Returns.
to it.
That's something.
Yeah, wow. Activated a memory for me. Thank you.
That's
Matthew.
something that I miss was how unforgiving those games were.
Yes.
Aladdin right there, still to this day, probably has some of the. It's probably one of the hardest platform games out there. You
Yeah.
know,
I had trouble with that one a lot.
yeah.
We had another one that had Mickey,
Donald
Donald
Duck.
I was going to bring it too. I forgot what it was called.
What is that called?
But I had
can't
trouble. I
remember.
had trouble with that game. I don't.
Did
think
y'all ever play the Game Gear?
No,
Never played
no,
that.
no. What's your first gaming memory? Because I think for him and I, it was
For
the
me,
Sega
I-
Genesis. Well,
Sonic.
yeah,
See, I remember playing those games before I played Mario, right, on Nintendo.
yeah.
But we didn't,
The first time
we didn't
I-
have those consoles. We see, we weren't. I wasn't blessed like y'all. Okay, so I had to go to my cousin's house. To,
okay.
But he lived across the street, so
Yeah.
it worked out. So they had everything there. So I get to play all those games. But that gaming memory playing like
the initial one.
initial one, it's gonna be Final Fantasy VII, man.
On the
Oh.
PlayStation 1?
PlayStation 1.
Wow.
Yeah.
You didn't play N64?
Or
I played N64, but
Sega?
we didn't have it at home.
Oh, I see
okay,
what you
bro.
mean.
We never
So
owned
see
it.
what you mean.
earliest. What do you think your earliest memory with any type of video game is?
It's probably gonna be the Sonic
Sonic
Okay.
on a Genesis
on
too?
the Genesis.
Yeah. All right.
I don't know
Yeah.
who had the same Sega the Game Gear in my family,
Yeah.
or if it was a friend. I just remember playing that Batman Returns.
Yeah,
game.
yeah.
That was
That
a
was
hard.
hard game
That was
too.
another difficult game for sure.
Yeah, it was, but
Yeah.
it was good. The graphics.
No,
at
it's
that
great.
time.
Yeah, it's fun. Yeah,
It's great. Like I said, one of the most engaging things I miss about those games, especially, I think pre anything like
internet.
N64.
I think it's mainly the internet because you had the only way you had like maybe like look up some Easter eggs or like
Yeah.
here's a hint. Go to you would have to buy the booklet.
Yep.
I
And our
remember-
parents were
That's how they made their
I
money
remember-
too,
and our
man.
parents were gonna pay like $30
You
for
lucky you got-
some booklet.
My first console was a PlayStation 1 after so long it's been out.
Really?
Well, yeah, we
So-
didn't have any of that stuff, man.
I have a big memory too where the book fair would come in at school, the Scholastic Book Fair, and I asked my mom for money because I wanted a book. Right? That's the way I got by it. Mom, the book fair's coming. I need to buy something, a
They had
book.
study
Let me
guides
get a
there?
book, and I would buy the Game Shark cheat codes for the year. Remember, because they used to release these
Oh,
like
yeah.
these like cheat code
Yeah,
Easter
but it was
egg books
only
for the year
for
of
the year.
everything that was
Yeah.
being released for that year. And I remember I'd get these books. It's wild because after the Sega Genesis
Shark.
too, my next like real core memory is with the N64. My mom bought us my mom and my dad bought us an
Man,
N64.
Living a good life,
And
man.
Super Smash Brothers,
Living a good life.
Captain Falcon, his main.
Still do
Oh,
it,
I was
bro.
Pikachu, man. Thunder jolting everybody.
My main.
Thunder jolt.
I'll Falcon punch all of you.
My main was Fox McCloud.
Yeah.
That's my main.
So that was fun. N64 Glover. That was
Glover.
such a difficult game.
A few weeks
growing
ago,
up
we
to
were
me.
watching like
Yeah,
we were watching
I never got to play that.
a walkthrough
Yeah,
of it.
yeah. Like we
We never
were
finished the
talking
game. We
about
never
it.
beat it.
Because we were so
Wow.
stuck on it sometimes that we actually started watching a playthrough like a week or two ago.
Mm-hmm.
Just like the classic WCW wrestling games, NWO.
I remember playing those. Those were fun, even though the characters looked terrible.
Classic Turok. You guys remember Turok? Is it Turok? Am I
Turok.
pronouncing it right? With the dinosaur. Like the
I
guy,
remember,
it was
yeah.
kind of like
It
Doom.
sound-
It was kind of like Doom, but
But with
like
dinosaurs.
dinosaurs.
I
Yeah.
vaguely remember watching you
Yeah.
play that.
Yeah,
It sounds familiar.
yeah.
It's crazy when you start reflecting back on
And
what we played.
my first experience with Mario, I think it's kind of crazy, but my first experience with
How did I
Mario
not say
was
Mario?
Mario 64
Yeah,
on
yeah,
the
of course.
N64.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, and I know there's a bunch of
And that was
theories behind
that was a huge Mario because that was like the first 3D Mario. Right?
yeah, absolutely.
I mean, people to this day are still doing insane
Speed runs.
on
Yeah.
Mario. Yeah.
Dude, crazy. I'm like,
Yeah.
how can you even do that?
Yeah.
I could barely get through the regular maps.
And we can't talk about the N64 and not mention Pokemon Stadium.
Yes, Pokemon Stadium.
'Cause I
What a
remember
classic.
what was the first? Because the Game Boy was a massive.
So I did have the original Game Boy. I did my
The OG
my,
Game
my
Boy.
mom did buy me that. I do remember that.
what games did you play on that?
Well, I had the Pokemon. I think I had Pokemon Red.
Red.
Yeah.
Yeah. So my first
We had Blue.
legitimate
Because I was a
RPG.
Charizard fan.
I get it. Yeah. My initial Pokemon introduction was to Pokemon Blue.
I always
And-
wanted Yellow, but we never got Yellow because I
I
think
always wanted
Yellow.
Yellow.
You had the Pikachu following you, right?
Yeah,
I think
and
so.
you were
Yeah.
able to get all three of the starters
Oh,
No.
in
Oh,
Pokemon
that's
Yellow.
good.
Yep.
Yeah, I
you get
never
them
got to play that one.
through different parts of the game, like in the beginning.
So I mentioned Pokemon in the Game Boy because for me that was like the
and we're talking about classic
Yeah.
Game Boy that
Yeah.
required
So I,
outlet.
if you would have,
Yeah,
if you would have saw
yeah.
me with my Game Boy after I got the Game Boy Color, I had like the magnifying glass attachment. I had the light attachment. I had the button attach. Dude, it was loaded.
Hey,
The
by
ca-
any chance, did you ever have the printer? The photo printer?
No, I didn't.
I've always wanted
I
that.
had
I know it's like
everything but
extremely
the
rare.
printer.
Is that
now.
the one that apparently if you get all 151 Pokemon, it'll print out like the
certificate?
the certificate
Yeah.
from the Game Freak Corporation from
like Game Freak would,
Viridian City?
Yeah, Game Freak would send you a certificate.
Yeah,
if
it's
you
like kind of like an
completed the
Easter egg,
Pokédex.
pretty much.
Yeah, and if you had the if you had the Game Boy printer,
Yeah.
you're able to print the
Yeah,
certificate.
you have the certificate of it.
I will
you,
say-
you
That's
had
crazy.
151
If
Pokemon.
anyone has that out there,
Yeah.
please send a picture
Yeah.
because that's a hell of
I had
flex.
everything
really cool,
but
yeah.
that
That's a-
because I even had the cable to trade in battle.
The link cable,
The
right?
link
Yeah, we
cable.
had the link
Oh,
cable
we had
too.
the link. I had
Yeah.
no idea what happened to it, but we
Yeah.
had the.
I had everything
yeah.
but that printer.
We had the
Yeah.
original link cable, but on the Game Boy, it was I mostly played Pokemon. I had like a Mario game,
Yeah, Pokemon was hot.
but
In the
it was
90s.
Yeah,
Pokemon.
in
when
the
Game
early
Boy was
2000s.
always Pokemon.
I've always. I mean, I'm still playing it. I told you, I literally
Yeah.
started playing Soul Silver again.
Yeah, we're Pokemon players over here.
yeah.
On the Game Boy, yeah, like it's
I was playing for the first time Black and White too.
Oh, yeah. Because you
I
got
have
the
a-
emulator, right?
Yeah, I have the emulator.
So Matt, you never. What else? What did you play on the N64?
Then 64 was mostly going to be Pokemon Stadium and Smash.
How can I forget? Jesus, it just hit me. I'm so sorry. For all you Call of Duty people, Battlefield people,
Wait, I
'cause
think I know
we're
what you're gonna
Battlefield
say.
people, the original OG shooter.
FPS.
Oh,
GoldenEye.
yeah.
Let's go,
I was
baby.
waiting to
See me, baby. See me.
GoldenEye.
License to Kill, dual RCP 90s. I'll take you
Oh,
out.
wow, yeah.
I'll take you out,
Golden
baby.
High had no business
Spraying.
to have such a good soundtrack.
Oh,
Oh, yeah.
What a-
I-
what
I
a-
That
don't
was an
think-
original. You know, that's an original soundtrack for the
yes.
game, right?
Yes.
Nobody has been able to top that.
No, not
It's
at all.
incredible, like how good that soundtrack
It's
is.
a
For
hella synth wave.
It's like you're in the movie. That's
so
crazy.
good.
I can't remember the name of the guy on TikTok, but there's this video that went viral where like the guy not makes fun of it, but he kind of does the thing where it's like the corporate people come in and he's like, hey, we need music for this game that's a cut into a movie series.
Yeah.
Nothing crazy.
Yeah.
And then he's like, how about this? And bro, I'm telling you, that music on
really good.
on GoldenEye is
It
good.
gives you that, like, something
Yeah.
about to go down.
It makes it feel like you're in a
Yeah.
in an espionage James Bond
just like,
movie.
but a very specific 1960s.
Yeah.
And later on, when I'm
Yeah.
talking about that,
It doesn't
that specific,
seem. It's
that
not
spec-
cheesy at all.
the
It's legit.
specific age of like 1960s, like Cold War espionage.
Absolutely.
Another one. This is later on. This is years later. Metal Gear Solid 3 Snake Eater.
Oh, yeah,
But
yeah,
that's
yeah.
later
The
on.
soundtrack?
Before-
Yeah.
yeah.
We'll get
But
there. We'll get there.
eventually.
That's good. But, you know,
but the character selection
Yes.
on GoldenEye, the level selection on GoldenEye, and even the story. Think about it. Obviously, you're not gonna play that game now because you're gonna tear it apart because of what we get now.
yeah.
But
we're spoiled now, man.
think about the time that game released. That was pretty groundbreaking.
I think a lot of
Just
the games that came out in the 90s.
I remember the crazy rocket launcher
Yeah.
battles we had.
Oh.
we had.
Only
But
rockets.
But if you look at what we had in the 90s, how tech was, how advanced,
It was wild.
It was great.
Think
being,
about
being,
like,
being,
CGI
a,
wasn't
being a
bad in the
wide-eyed
90s.
7-year-old and being like, I can't imagine what games are going to look like in 20
I
years.
remember watching.
Correct.
I remember playing like games. Like the N64, like wrestling games that I was telling you about, where they had a lot of like story, pretty much
Yeah.
to it.
Was
like
that wrestling game N64?
yeah, WCW.
It had, like-
Oh, yeah.
It was like
It had-
WCW versus NWO.
I
Then
had
there was
that one.
another.
There was like
No
a cheat
Mercy.
code for that.
Yes.
No Mercy.
And those character customizations for your own character
Wild
were amazing.
Wild, and then the stories for like the tag team, the story for like the Intercontinental,
Yeah.
like wow.
I used to do the cheat
well
code
thought
in the
out.
beginning to activate to do the power moves
Oh,
easily.
okay.
Yeah. So I remember as a kid, like you said, like a wide-eyed young kid looking at
Just like,
this, and it's like,
mad
wow, this
graphics,
is
bro.
crazy.
And now we're going back to our roots with like these
Yeah.
2D platform
Yo.
games.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, and it's crazy too because then even when the Game Boy became like a popular thing, right? Just think about that. The idea of before you had to be home to play your video games.
do anything, yeah.
Now you could take it with you anywhere.
Anywhere.
As long as you had
Your console can go with you anywhere.
a few AA batteries.
You're good to go.
You know what I mean?
Well,
You're good to
everything's
go.
rechargeable now too.
Yeah,
You just
yeah.
get some solar power, anything, man.
Anything, yeah.
It's crazy. We're in a
So after the N64,
PS1.
PlayStation,
Yep.
the original PS1. My God, I feel like that was like so revolutionary.
Before I
Oh,
mention
for sure.
any other game, for me, I'm a huge Hideo Kojima fan.
Oh man,
Right?
let's put it out there.
So
Kojima.
Kojima. Yeah, waiting for Death Stranding 2. But
I know no one knows what that game's about. I don't think you know what that game's about.
Kojima
but I
doesn't-
love it.
Kojima doesn't know what the game's about.
I would love to smoke a cigarette with you and Mads
That-
anytime. Kojima, please. Anytime.
But yeah, Metal Gear Solid 1. My God, my first introduction to like very interesting concepts of sci-fi, of Cold War espionage.
Oh, yeah.
It's like the first
And that's the
introduction to
only
like
game I really played
clones,
in
like
that.
liquid
Genetics.
genetics, the conversation that he had with the
Politics, political, like
Mixture of
House of Cards type.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
very.
Plot.
It was like a very, but like every Metal Gear Solid has like its own era that it's trying to emulate.
Yeah.
For example, Metal Gear Solid 1.
Yeah.
Pure '90s cheesy action fun.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just like Escape from New York type thing.
Yeah,
you
yeah.
know.
What,
with-
what I liked about Sony coming out with these games, like in that era, PS1, so many games came out, and Metal Gear was one of them. You remember the demos that used to come out? All the games on the demos were pretty much hits.
Yeah.
You got Metal Gear, Final
remember, like-
Fantasy, Siphon Filter, Dino
Yeah.
Crisis, all these
Dino
games.
Crisis. I know you.
But
Guys, please, anyone out there,
remake
we're
it, man.
remaking everything. Why hasn't anyone remade Dino Crisis?
Make dinosaurs scary. again.
Right?
Yes, please make dinosaurs
Yeah, yeah.
scary again.
But you see-
I'm a massive Jurassic Park fan. This last trilogy is entertaining. At
Remake
barely.
Dino Crisis.
Chris Pratt with his telepathy skills with the,
Yeah.
With Blue?
just doing this, with Blue.
Yeah.
like
Like the last movie wasn't even about dinosaurs, really.
Didn't even watch
We're
it,
not talking
so-
about movies.
Yeah, yeah.
But the point is, Dino Crisis.
That was such
my
a good
God,
game.
that was a good game.
Wait,
it was Resident Evil, but dinosaurs.
With dinosaurs.
Yeah,
But-
But it wasn't cheesy at all. It
no,
was
it wasn't
legit.
cheesy. Just
It was
classic,
scary,
nice
man.
PS1.
Raptors chasing you.
Yeah, good old jump scares with raptors and
what was the most revolutionary gaming moment in Metal Gear Solid 1 for you?
the most revolutionary.
Like that moment you were like, man, this is wild.
bro.
Yeah,
When Psycho Mantis
Yes.
moved my controller, I
you ever played this?
So that's the thing. I didn't have this stuff, so I had to go next door to my cousin's house and play these games. So I didn't get to play it like how you are. So when I
Yeah.
did, I played the demo a lot because we had the demo. We didn't have the game.
So to explain
but
to
I
you.
played to the end, but I don't think I've ever.
So
beat
this
it.
particular boss, Psycho Mantis, he's
That's a dude, the
he's-
ninja that keeps
No,
chasing you.
that's Gray
Gray
Fox.
Fox.
Gray Fox.
So Psycho Mantis is a psychic boss.
I remember
And
something
he
like
wears
that.
the gas mask.
He
He's
Yes.
super,
So-
super
and keeps chasing
skinny.
you or something like that, or he's looking for you. And
You're like in an office
office.
type,
Yep.
and yeah. So basically, in this particular boss battle, for him to prevent you from him reading your mind, you have to change the controller port.
Yeah, so you
From
would
pl-
take your
so
player
port
1
1 to port 2.
and you have to put it in port 2 so he wouldn't read your moves.
Yeah.
because he would literally
how,
predict.
how the heck are you supposed to know that?
Exactly.
I bought the Easter egg book.
That was like one of the.
Dang, no
those
wonder
are-
I used to get my butt whooped, man.
Those are one of the gaming gems of like the
Yeah.
pre-internet era
Yeah.
that you just
I
gotta, you gotta
remember-
So you
figure it
gotta
out.
switch, do damage, switch.
No.
No,
You just have to
switch
switch it from port 1
to port 2,
Port 2.
and he wasn't able to read your
And he
your
would
mind.
take, bro, and it would change the dialogue of the game and everything.
So when you were still in port 1, when he was reading your mind, he would read your memory card. So he would be
Wow.
like,
Yeah.
if
Oh
you-
my god, I forgot
Yeah,
that. The,
so if you
the
would
game
play-
would literally read your memory card.
So he would be like, if you played a Dino Cry, or there's
Yeah.
a few games that he had in his.
He would
dial-
reference,
Yeah, he
yeah.
would reference. Oh, it seems like you enjoy blah blah blah.
Oh, shit.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
very.
Damn.
It was one of those
it
gaming.
was very innovative.
one of those gaming moments, and I was like, Kojima's a genius.
I remember fighting Psycho Mantis and calling my mom to come see how he would move my controller and everything.
Yeah, you would
And even
vibrate
my
your
mom was
controller.
like looking at the PlayStation like it was witchcraft.
yeah.
Y'all gotta laugh at this. So when we did have a PlayStation, so we had the VR. Was it the VR?
VR.
So Metal Gear came out with another game, but it was like more just like virtual stuff that you're hitting targets.
Oh, it
It's
was like the
VR
training.
the
It was
training
training.
missions. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
we
It
had
was like
that.
kind of like a Matrix.
Oh,
type level.
oh yeah.
Those
I'm
are fun.
like, really? Like,
No.
yeah,
you
that's what
needed-
my dad had bought.
Oh, okay, okay.
You needed, like,
I
you
played all
needed
of those too.
But
Metal
we had a
Gear
demo.
Solid.
So what I used to go, obviously you could play so much in a demo before it, and you get kicked out. I used to just choke everybody out.
yeah.
Choking every, I'm like, it's a demo, it's okay. Going in and
I
just
will
choking
say,
everybody out.
I think my love for booty comes from
Meryl.
from Snake always looking at Meryl.
But yeah,
Such a good game,
That
though.
game had such like for me that was my first game I played where it had amazing cinematic moments.
Yeah,
Yeah.
the cutscenes,
you- like-
cinematic cutscenes.
Like,
I feel like that was
but
like the
what-
first time
but-
to really experience
but one
cinematic
thing was
cutscenes.
the cutscenes themselves were still the in-game graphics.
Yeah, yeah.
It wasn't like
you
you know,
never.
it wasn't like the Twisted Metal type or like the Final
Yes,
Fantasy
yeah,
type. Like
yes.
Twisted
you just shifted dimensions. It was
Yeah,
like
yeah,
better
yeah.
graphics. You had like the really good scene with Revolver Ocelot like losing his arm from Gray
Yeah,
Fox.
yeah.
Obviously, you had the final battle
It's
with
an
Liquid
iconic
Snake.
game. It's an iconic
Such a
game.
good game.
Fighting
just-
Metal Gear itself with Liquid, then defeating it and having the whole just pure. What a way to end it, huh? Having just a old school fist fight with Liquid Snake on top of Metal Gear.
Your dear brother.
You're dear.
To this day, almost every year, whenever it's his birthday, I text him like, "Happy birthday, dear brother."
and we just share a bunch of Metal Gear gifts.
Oh my God.
We've had this like tradition for like at this point what like 10 years.
Metal Gear for sure has been one of the most impactful franchises in our lives.
Yes,
I mean,
definitely.
you even know because when
Yeah.
we were gaming hard on Battlefield
Oh, yeah.
1, our clan was Foxhound.
Foxhound.
Yes,
Yeah,
of course.
Yeah. So yeah, that's yours. Final Fantasy is what took home
yeah.
for me because
On
like,
the PlayStation, right?
PlayStation. Yeah, because it came
The-
around the same time.
It
Final
did,
Fantasy
yeah. It
came
should be,
around
yeah.
1997.
Yeah.
That's what I was
I
looking at,
think
Metal
in
Gear Solid
97
1.
here in the U.S. I'm not sure in Japan, but 97. I was 7 years old.
Yeah.
But that hit
98,
me.
yeah, 98.
because
Metal Gear Solid
of-
1.
98.
Yeah.
So it was right before. The lore and the story behind each character, and
Yeah.
then when you play Final Fantasy 7, you start learning about characters like, oh shoot, who's this?
Yeah.
Like when you learn about Zack, who came before Cloud, and he was the first class. 'Cause Cloud was just a soldier, and he took the memories on from Zack from Crisis Core. Crisis Core came out in PSP time, but just there was so much lore that they had, and that this game.
Final Fantasy's wild, man.
Oh my
that
God.
lore.
I know
Yes.
Final Fantasy.
Square Enix is amazing with the Final Fantasy franchise.
It's a hella lore.
But 7, I think, stole the show when it came down to
Seven's
the characters.
iconic.
It is.
Seven,
Cloud and Sephiroth.
Because that's what I know. I've never been a massive Final Fantasy
You ever
fan.
played Crisis Core?
No.
So Crisis Core goes before them. So you learn about Angeo, Sephiroth, before Sephiroth goes crazy and everything. And then I forgot the other guy's name. There's 3 of them. And they're like the original soldiers that have all the Genova cells.
My only real
Cloud is
experience.
part of that.
He is part, but he takes on the memories of Zack, and Geo has the Buster Sword originally. He
Yeah.
passes down to Zack. Zack then passes down when he's about to die to Cloud.
I should have brought my Buster Sword.
Bro.
I was this close to drinking, and I was like,
But it's heavy.
but
yeah.
it's passed down the line.
Yeah.
So, but Cloud takes his memory like I was first class soldier, and it was Zack who was the first class soldier. In Crisis Core, Cloud is just a regular soldier
Yeah.
that is with Zack.
It's funny because like I know how massive Final Fantasy is, and I know there's one that just like recently dropped.
Oh yeah, I haven't
I
gotten into that one.
I respect it for what it is, but like I never really played them.
It's
The only
hard-
one I ever
it's so-
played
It's hard
was
to-
Final Fantasy
It's daunting.
7.
It's daunting to
It
look
is.
at that. I mean, recently we got into Diablo and just looking into that. The last
Yeah.
like 4 weeks have just been like
Yeah.
catching up with Diablo lore.
Yeah.
I can't even imagine.
so yeah,
the Final Fantasy lore.
that's the thing. Like that is what touched me is because I when I started playing, I kind of like bonded with the game.
Yeah.
Like, I can play other games and have fun, but when it comes down to the lore behind Final Fantasy, like that, I can play that till I
we
die.
did watch growing up. We did watch Advent Children.
It was a beautiful.
I
I
have
no-
it on Blu-ray.
I have
Yeah,
no
it's
idea.
a
I had no idea what was going on, but I was like, I like it.
Yeah.
So pretty much, this is like after the events of Cloud beating Sephiroth at the end of the game.
Yeah.
So his Buster Sword is already worn off. You see it in the
Yeah.
dirt, kind of like a tribute on the hill.
Yeah.
Because he has a new sword, the one with like 7 swords combined.
Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah, he has like all these Genova cells that keep affecting
That's
him.
wild.
And
That's
Aerith,
wild.
if you play the game, Aerith is the one that keeps talking to him throughout the
Yeah.
movie and having children.
Okay.
She got killed. Sephiroth stabbed her.
Yeah.
So it's crazy. It's
Oh, I know.
someone's.
I can't even.
I
can't
love
even
this.
imagine.
I love Final Fantasy VII, the classic, to the remake, like with a passion.
Yeah,
Because
but I mean, the PlayStation introduced us to a lot of
Yeah.
a lot of franchises because the other core memory I have with the PlayStation 2 is playing Resident Evil.
Oh yeah, I think that
The-
was.
wait.
Oh,
Resident
Man.
Evil
director's cut.
Director's
Yes.
cut, baby.
Yo,
That-
the cinematic cutscenes in Resident Evil were crazy, and
Yeah,
then when
yeah.
you open a door, just like the creepy.
Yeah.
And then next thing you know, you go in the door. There's a licker on the floor about to attack you.
I
or
was
the,
petrified of the liquors growing up.
I never
I
played it myself. I used to watch him play.
dude,
Resident Evil.
the ones that hopped out of the
bitch
water,
ass alligator, like the last thing you'd ever expect
the
in a
spider,
zombie
the
game.
big old tarantula.
Yeah,
The thing is, yeah, there was so much that you learn about that mansion.
yeah, and just Umbrella too.
Yeah.
Like, there's so much lore. That's why I am the way that I am now in Diablo, where it's like I pick up everything, I read everything
Yeah,
because
lore
I'm so
is,
used to.
is such. It gives flavor to the world. Yeah,
Yeah.
you
There's
There's
have
something
to.
about the sister.
That's another episode. Especially with season
Yo.
one coming up.
yeah.
Going to the PS1, Spyro.
Oh,
wow,
good,
yeah.
good
Dude,
call,
Spyro.
good call.
That- I
Spyro.
played
Bro,
Spyro.
oh my god,
We never
Crash
had.
Bandicoot.
That's what I wanted to mention. Crash Bandicoot.
But
Crash
Spyro,
Bandicoot,
would-
one of the most challenging platform games out
we
there.
never finished the game, and we never had a memory card at that time.
Yeah.
So we
Yeah.
every single time
I
we
remember
turned
it
it
was
off.
so hard to convince my mom to buy me a memory card, and she wouldn't
Do you remember
understand
how much
the
they were?
concept.
They were
No, I don't remember.
expensive back then.
But,
I'm trying to
but it had to be bad because I remember constantly trying to get
Probably
mom
like
to buy
25
it,
bucks
and
or
she
so.
didn't want to.
Yeah.
Do you remember
She's
how
like,
much at the time? How much a PS1 was?
I think it was like $100.
$100.
It had been
And
$100 because
Yeah.
I think it was $100, but $100 back then is probably
of
like
course.
$1,000 now.
Yeah, $100 was
Yeah.
like of course. And memory card, yeah, it had to be like you said.
I
25.
think it was like $25.
Yeah, yeah.
20 or 25. They
So
were
we
expensive.
played a lot of games for a while without a
Yeah.
memory card, and Crash Bandicoot was one of those. And
It's so
every
challenging
single
game.
time we turned off the PS1,
You get so mad.
Start
But Spyro
over.
was fun to play. I
Spyro was-
remember
we had
playing
only
that.
the demo of a Spyro.
Yeah.
We never had Spyro, but I
Do
loved
you
playing
remember-
it.
I played the demo a lot.
Do you
too.
remember Gex, Enter the Gecko?
Gex?
Enter the
Sounds
Gecko.
very familiar to me.
It's like a gecko dressed as James Bond. Look it up, bro. Gex, Enter the Gecko.
What a funny name.
Yeah.
Classic.
Have you ever played Earthworm Jim?
Hell yeah, bro.
Oh, yeah.
Earthworm Jim?
Okay.
Absolutely. Oh my gosh, yeah.
I think this moving to the PS2 games.
I
you
remember
remember
that.
that? He's like a James
Gex.
Bond gecko, baby.
Yeah, I played
Yeah.
Gex, baby.
Enter the Gecko.
Before we get into PS2, I do want to bring up the Dreamcast.
Wait. Before we go there,
Because the
I wanna
Dreamcast came
touch-
out before PS2, I believe.
Yes.
Yeah.
I think, or simultaneously. I don't know, but
Crazy Taxi.
wait, no. One thing I want to talk about on the PlayStation 2 before PlayStation 1 before we move on.
Siphon Filter was a game I liked on the PS1.
The
That was another-
original espionage games,
Yeah.
right? So you had like Metal Gear Solid, obviously, but a lot of people tend to forget about Siphon Filter.
Yes.
and they forget
Was there
about.
a Splinter Cell for PS1?
I'm not sure.
Yeah, Siphon Filter. Yeah, the
No,
Splinter.
Splinter. I think
No,
Splinter Cell
Splinter
is a
Cell-
different
yeah,
franchise.
Oh no, I don't know.
Siphon
It's always
Filter
a-
had
Don't
his
quote me
own.
on that.
Yeah, keep going. Though.
Yeah, yeah.
What were you-
I think Mission Impossible was a game too.
Another one that there's
Oh, I don't-
there's two franchises I want to mention on the PlayStation 1 that were big for me too. Twisted Metal,
Oh yeah.
Oh man, complete.
Twisted Metal.
Especially with
especially with
the,
movie
series
coming out,
the
yeah.
Peacock series coming up. My God, I think
Doesn't look good.
I think it looks horrible. But
we're gonna watch it so we could tear it apart.
Yeah, we're gonna have a nice
yeah, Twisted
episode
Metal
on
for
that.
me. I think for me it was one of the first introductions to like darker stories, especially when you
Yeah.
got into like.
Well, no, I can't say that because I played Resident Evil and Dino Crisis, and those two for sure definitely got me into.
One thing I liked about a Twisted Metal was like the backstories for the individual characters on why they entered this competition.
I see, yeah,
led by
dark.
Calypso, and
Calypso.
Calypso promised them the wish, and you had Sweet Tooth, but I always remember like those cutscenes. I would have to rewatch them to
Trippy.
remember specifics of it, but like the one that always stands out is always like Sweet Tooth. But some of those characters, I remember this. What was the guy that he was like kind of like in a
Axel.
Oh,
Axel,
With
like
the big old wheels?
like a
Yeah, Axel.
Vitruvian man type
Yeah.
position.
yeah. I was like, holy moly!
Very like those like yes, like Resident Evil brings those dark stories, but this one brings like almost like a
Twisted.
like a twisted Twix. Like, it brings like a surreal twist to it.
It does.
Like,
It does.
it's
There's an
it-
ethereal feeling to it, and
Yeah.
I've always, and even at a young age, because like at that point I was already into literature. I was reading a lot, so playing Twisted Metal, I always got the vibe, very Faust type vibes.
Yeah, perfect explanation, yeah.
Where these characters would are competing in this tournament by Calypso that they win a wish. They win the tournament. Calypso grants him a wish that just kind of ends up biting him in the ass, pretty much. Which is like at the end of it, you realize you're just kind of like, wow, I really kind of played this game for nothing. Like everyone loses at the end. Calypso just wins. Period.
Yeah.
You
Wow,
know?
Twisted Metal is 1995.
Yeah,
Yeah,
man.
dude,
Yeah.
that
Both
was like-
older, both older than Metal Gear Solid 1 and Final
yeah,
Fantasy.
that was
Wow.
like the
it's
original
classic.
PS1
And if you
game.
remember too, like that type of game was popular during that time, like vehicle, like death match type shit.
Yeah.
Because you remember there was this other game we used to play. I don't remember it, but it was Twisted Metal but submarines. Do you remember that?
Twisted Metal.
That
was
sounds
similar.
familiar.
Yeah, like it was. You were in a submarine, different levels, and it was it was the same concept. I just can't remember the name, and something depths maybe. Oh my god, yeah, but it was.
Would you go like in these submarines? Would you go like into these like underwater, like it was like almost like a post-apocalyptic cities?
One of the levels was like an underground, like it was underwater, obviously, because there's like submarines.
Yeah, like
And it was like a post-apocalyptic city that's
Yes.
underwater, and you had
Oh
it was
man,
like
you
Twisted
just
Metal.
activated a memory.
Yeah, I
man.
just kept critical depth.
critical depth.
Critical depth. That's what it's
Oh,
called.
wow.
What year?
remember that.
Year?
Let me see. I'm gonna look at the Wikipedia page real
Yeah.
quick. It released November 21st, 1997.
The submarines,
Critical depth.
I remember, but I'm not
Wow.
sure.
As soon as you
I
see it, bro, it's gonna activate a memory. You're gonna-
Completely forgot. This game was pretty tough too.
that was a tough game too. Yeah,
Go to images.
yeah.
I just want to see. Like,
And I remember playing that game a lot too because it was during
Yes,
the time that I
man,
was like
wow.
really into
oh
Twisted
yeah, now
Metal.
okay,
Yeah. And it was a
Man.
big.
Completely forgot about this game.
You see, and
That
I,
was a
don't-
fun
I feel
game.
like that type of game doesn't really exist anymore unless I'm just not aware of it. But like vehicle combat type games like that.
If you notice now with the genre of games,
think
it's
mechs
not
are
as
coming back.
it's not as open and a variety like it
Yeah.
was back then growing up because everything is like more shooters and role playing games, but they're more based on solid games with seasons now versus
Yeah, and listen. At the end of the day, like these companies are companies, and
Mm-hmm.
they just want to get more money. Because I feel like back in the day, people were really focused on releasing a full game and getting
It was
as
more
many
of-
people
I-
to
I
buy
feel-
it.
it was-
But now it's
it was
like
more of a true venture of like an art form.
Yeah.
I feel back
you know
in
midnight releases. You go because you want that
yeah.
new release of that game.
Yeah.
I went to some
now
releases.
it's very much about seasons, cosmetics, play to win.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not saying I'm okay with it, but that's the reality that
Yeah.
we're in with corporations just trying to make their money. I get it, whatever. But and all that,
Quick
you
buck.
have your gems. The last game
PS1.
I want to mention on the PS1 before we move on, which is a very dear game to me too, Gran Turismo.
yeah.
The
Yes,
original Gran
yeah.
Turismo. I love
I gotta
that
say
game.
yes.
I didn't play much of it, but I played
part
a bit
two.
of it.
Gran Turismo 2 was was
Yeah.
the one I got close with.
Yeah.
That kind of introduced me to
Yeah, I had
racing cars.
because I had other racing, like I had the original Need for Speed games.
I was gonna say
And-
Underground.
Underground.
That's
No,
a
no,
classic.
that was epic.
That's
But I'm
the-
talking about
How about-
PS1
how about
and
when
Need
you
for
load up
Speed.
the game and it's like, was it Little John, the song that always came on?
Riders of
On
the
the
Storm.
Storm. Yeah,
And, like,
yeah.
Snoop Dogg's on it.
That was I love that.
But
song.
I want to give a shout out to Gran Turismo because Gran Turismo, even though I played Need for I can't remember what the Need for Speed game that on the PS1 that I played was called, but Gran Turismo for sure was the one that got me into motorsports. Right,
Yeah.
because that's the biggest difference. Because Gran Turismo introduced you to racing circuits, endurance races. Shout out to my cousin Jason.
Yeah.
He's a psychopath. I watched him actually
200
do
plus 200 plus laps. in Gran
endurance
Turismo.
races in Gran Turismo. He's
Yeah.
crazy. But that was a big piece for me. So after the PS1, I would say like the next real big
Dreamcast?
memory was the Sega Dreamcast. Wait, Sega, right? Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, the Dreamcast.
The one that really stands out to me is Crazy Taxi.
Crazy Taxi.
Yeah.
Yeah, Crazy Taxi was good.
Yeah,
Classic.
I had a bunch of demos. I had
Yeah.
a bunch of demos I used to play, but the games that we actually owned was Crazy Taxi, and we owned do you remember any other that we owned?
We had like a basketball game. That's the thing. On the Dreamcast, I just really remember playing Crazy Taxi.
And on
the Dreamcast felt very much, and I don't want to. I'm
very
not talking
awkward
shit.
controller.
Yeah,
I liked it, though.
I liked it. It
I
felt
played
very
I
original.
played Code Veronica on it.
Okay, see,
Resident Evil Code Veronica.
you see, I don't think we had many games on the Dreamcast. The ones that we had were very much arcadey.
Yeah.
The memory card was so weird.
Was the memory card in the controller?
Yeah, it was
That's
like
what
a little,
I remember.
It had a little screen on it too.
Yeah.
House
Yeah.
of Dead was a game we played.
Oh,
a
House
lot
of
on.
Dead.
House of
yes.
Dead, yes.
And that game was an arcade game.
That's what I'm saying. Crazy Taxi,
Yeah.
House of Dead. So for us, we didn't really get into it, but we had a few games.
I played
from
an
it.
RPG game on there, and I forgot what it's called. But
Yeah, my memories aren't massive on that.
But before we move on, there is another game on the PlayStation. I don't know if it was PlayStation 1, Breath of Fire and
Breath
Legend
of
of
Fire.
Dragoon.
Oh yeah, you mentioned that Legend of
RPG
Dragoon.
games. Or RPG. Breath of Fire 3.
Oh my god, how can I forget, bro? The Digimon dungeon crawlers.
Oh, yeah.
Those games were hard.
Yeah,
and
we never
annoying.
finished those. We never finished those games either. But that game was fun.
So those are other games, we enjoyed playing. Definitely drop questions and everything because we want to do more episodes on video games that kind of relive that memory.
like with the same theme of like games that made you.
Yeah,
Like story,
because
stories.
that's what brings us this happiness and just
That's-
reflect on what we grew up with.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like it's Sega 60,
And that's
Nintendo
just
64.
the crazy thing is,
Man, I forgot to mention the N64 Okirana of Time, man.
I played
Zelda.
I played a
wow.
bit of that one.
yeah, you see, so there's like when you
So many
start
games.
opening that channel, like of all the stuff that you went through and played,
Yeah.
and this is just a few consoles.
We've gone
we haven't
through,
gotten to PS2 yet.
We haven't even gone to. Oh my god.
Xbox. Like
Even
for
Xbox.
me, my first introduction to like RPGs like
was in
Fable, Fable 2, and Fable 3.
Yeah. Okay.
But Fable was my first.
Specifically, like Fable 1, like the first Fable. My
Yeah,
god.
which I think
one
is
of
the
the
best.
best.
See, Xbox didn't hit me when it came out like that. I was just
No?
like, look at that controller. It's the size of my head.
Yeah, yeah.
It's bulky, but Halo.
Anyone
yeah.
who
Oh.
anyone who like grew up around the Fable time, Peter Monolith, you've lied to me multiple
So
times.
with Fable,
the creator of Fable.
Lionsgate.
The
goddamn
Fable-
it.
Lionsgate, yeah.
did Fable come out as the same time as Halo did?
It all came out around the same time.
Yeah.
Because I know they had their hit like singles that dropped.
Yeah,
for-
Fable was one of them. Fable is
Recently, I saw the new Fable trailer. I think the same company who's making who's made what's that car game?
Forza.
Forza.
Okay.
They're making a new
So
Fable.
when Xbox, the original Xbox dropped, their main line of games announcing was Fable was one of them.
Yeah.
Because I know Halo, obviously that was their
Halo was
flagship.
part of Halo was like the franchise game, right? But Fable was too. It just went. It was a lot more quiet.
So I got into Halo was the only
Because
game
you
I
gotta
played
remember,
on
you gotta
Xbox.
remember, like at this point, this is the like beginnings of online gaming.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
This is when we slowly got into our first online
Yeah.
Gears of War.
Yeah. Gears of War
Oh,
1.
Gears. Yeah, because Gears came after, and that
Yeah.
stole the show. I didn't really get into Gears like that
Oh.
until later on in
We
like.
got good, man. But
high school.
Fable, bro. Fable was Fable 1.
Just like
because
what
Fable
I
2
love
and
the
3 were
morality
questionable.
system. Fable 2,
I think 2 and 3 are questionable.
Okay.
2
I'll
is
say that.
I would say 2 is better than 3. 3 was very
Yeah.
very disappointing.
But part 1, it's just you obviously if you play it today, you're gonna talk some things about it. But
It's like a good, classic Fable-like story.
Yeah.
Little boy from a village.
Gets destroyed.
Good gets destroyed.
Yeah.
Good British humor.
Yeah.
Which is unique, especially growing up. Just everything American.
one of the most interesting villains,
Jack of Blades.
Jack of Blades. What a character! The character design, it's a very fun game. I love that game.
Just the trend, like the idea of you being a player, the transition of time, your player getting older.
You
Yeah.
start as a kid.
You start as a
Yeah.
kid. You go to a guild, like in your teenage years.
Yeah.
You go out to your adventure as a young adult. You become an adventurer, getting like quests
It's
here
like
and there.
it's like a D&D campaign.
Yeah. It was
Yeah,
very
that's
cool.
cool.
It was very, very,
I'm not
very
sure
different.
why I haven't got. I didn't
You
get
should
into that.
play it because I'm pretty sure you can
They
find
have
like
a
some
remastered-
emulator or like a remastered.
They have a
version.
remastered version, yeah.
I think it's worth it, especially part 1. It's completely worth it. I think you should give it a try. It's a unique experience. It's its own story.
Pretty fun morality system.
Yeah,
Yeah, I'll look at some gameplay.
yeah,
But
yeah.
I do know when Xbox was releasing that was one of the big games, Fable and Halo. And
Halo
Halo
for
actually,
sure.
yeah, definitely stole the show. But before we get into that, like PlayStation 2, man,
Let me tell you about PlayStation 2.
there's so much to talk about, and I don't want to take up all the time. But Kingdom Hearts,
Oh,
yeah,
that's a big topic.
we only play Kingdom Hearts 1. Matt
Matt
Go,
played.
go, you know,
Matt
go.
played the whole kingdom of all the hearts.
Yes.
This is-
I am Kingdom Hearts.
This is your part, Matt. Like,
You know,
go wild with
This
Kingdom
is, the,
Hearts.
this is the TED Talk.
Like,
now.
so I'll try to describe like where we kind of left off. I remember playing Kingdom Hearts 1. You're Sora living on some island of some kind.
Correct.
You have your main rival, which is like a Sasuke-esque character.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah.
And then you have a Sakura-esque character.
Yes.
You get off the island.
And you have other friends there too.
Yeah. You have some few adventures here and there, in different Disney worlds. And I remember the part I got stuck in as a kid was I think at this point I already gone through the Peter Pan world, and I was already flying, and it was in some sort of huge cavern, and I remember just like flying around trying to get out of this cavern, and I never found a way out. I gave up. That was
Really?
yeah. Kingdom Hearts 1.
Jeez, there's so much more in
I
this
know,
game.
Pick it now.
Go ahead, Matt.
Man, so what took me by surprise with Kingdom Hearts 1 was the Colosseum, like we were talking about earlier.
Yeah.
So the Colosseum was pretty good because it introduced all the Square Enix characters. Final Fantasy VII. Cloud was in there. Cloud had this
That's
demon
true.
wing.
They do the crossover. Yeah.
So you fight different enemies, right? And then, dude, you get to Sephiroth.
Yeah.
He's like the final boss, pretty much.
Yeah.
And then you get, I forgot what the reward was, but dude, he messes you up in one attack.
Yeah,
So you got to be
yeah.
like level 100 to fight this guy.
Yeah.
But just the lore, when you start playing in Sora, you don't get as much abilities you do in
Matt,
part two.
how many Funko swords do you have?
How much did we
Tell,
count
tell
last
the
time?
audience.
Man, so I have a lot of Kingdom Hearts Funkos, but I have a lot of Soras.
Sora variant of all kinds.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
I like Sora's character because he's a fighter, but at the same time he cares about his friend, right? He's been trying to save Riku. Riku's like Sasuke from Naruto.
Yeah.
He doesn't want to be saved, and he's just this hardcore anti-hero. He's like the anti-hero because he doesn't go against them. He just goes his own way, and everybody in that island kind of it's weird how it plays because it's such a dark story.
Yeah.
That's the
Yeah.
crazy thing about Kingdom Hearts because it has Disney in it. Disney
Yeah.
doesn't like to have that impression of
But you see,
darkness.
that's one of my.
But you get it Heartless. That's the main villain or enemies, and
Or they call like the shadow, like hollows? What are they called?
Heartless.
They were
Yeah,
Heartless.
yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
I thought it was-
Shadow-
I don't know
Shadow
why I said
Heartless.
Yeah, the Shadow Heartless.
Like those
and
like
there's
shadow
different variants of
shade
them.
things. Yeah.
I
But
remember playing
so
Kingdom.
dark.
Yeah, and I remember playing Kingdom of Hearts and the
I'm thinking
Heart-
of Bleach. That's why I said hollow.
Yeah.
That's why.
the Heartless. It was almost creepy, and it was fun seeing a lot of Disney characters in a different light.
That's what
that
I'm
was
saying.
the best part about it, where it's just like. That's one thing I felt that Kingdom of Hearts always did right, because you look at Mickey, Goofy, Donald Duck.
Yeah, family characters.
Yeah, you know, just and
Wasn't
he
it
put-
Mickey like wasn't it King Mickey?
King
was
Mickey,
it, wasn't
yeah,
it like
and
an
Queen
OP,
and Minnie.
He's like
Dude,
Goku.
he's God,
Goku,
bro.
He's Goku. Yeah, he's Goku.
In part 2, if you die with Sora, you spawn as King Mickey, and then obviously after you finish whatever you're doing, whooping everybody's ass, you go
Yeah.
back to Sora. So you never really had to like die and start all over because you spawn as King Mickey.
Okay.
And dude, it was crazy playing King Mickey. You destroying everything. He's flipping around, jumping around like Yoda from
Yoda,
Star
yeah, I was
Wars.
gonna say Yoda.
Yo, he's crazy.
Yeah, that's funny.
Yeah, it's crazy. And when you get into Kingdom Hearts, because I beat them all, I beat from start to finish. Kingdom Hearts 1 kind of introduced you to, Sora's characters, Riku's characters, Kyrie's characters. But you realize when you start playing, there's prequel stuff to this.
Yeah.
Roxas, it was a character before Sora, but it's like different universes,
Absolutely.
different worlds.
Yeah, I was gonna. As we started talking about this, I was like, I think
Or
this is
just
one of
the
my
organization.
first as a kid. Like, in my, because I mean, now
Everything's a multiverse.
Everything's a
Yeah.
multiverus. Like
That-
So, but that's I think
That was like one of the original
one of the
introductions
first
to
as a
the
multiverse. Like jumping
Yeah.
from like world to world, like Disney themed
Yeah.
world. It's pretty
Yeah.
And
interesting.
your characters convert into that.
Yeah,
Like,
because I remember definitely like Mario 64 kind of introduced that. Glover kind of had that mechanic, but it's the way that it was presented within Kingdom of Hearts that
Yeah.
like really made it feel like you were jumping into legitimate other worlds.
Yeah.
Right.
and just a partnership between Disney and Square Enix.
yeah.
Yeah,
Because-
yeah. Because
And as a
obviously
kid,
Disney,
and as a kid, you had to come at it, especially any '90s kid. You know, we watch Hercules, Aladdin.
Yeah,
we know
yeah.
Peter Pan. We watch all those movies. So similar to the MCU now that you watch an MCU movie, you need to have like a backlog of information to understand all these references
Yeah.
and things like
Yeah.
that. Kingdom Hearts was similar. Like
Yeah.
you have all this backlog of these movies that you watch,
Shit,
and
this is making me want to play Kingdom of Hearts from
Kingdom
like
Hearts was
scratch
always
right
pretty
now.
And you can start learning these new moves for with Sora being the main character. But as the games came out from the Game Boy all the way down to the PSP, I think it's Birth by Memory. There's a game where you get to play as the three Aqua, Ventus, and I forgot the other characters' names. And those were like the original like Guardians. They have like armor and everything from the
Yeah.
Keyblade Wars, where
Yeah.
there's like millions of Keyblades from fallen Keyblade warriors. Like, and it's crazy. They're fighting. I forgot this guy. He's bald, got a little beard. He was the villain. Crazy.
Yeah.
The CGI clip of them fighting each other, and is insane.
Yeah.
And then just like the whole purpose is like to save these worlds from being corrupted from the heartless and the
Yeah.
darkness, and Sora using the power of the cards type feeling of the light.
who was controlling the Heartless?
I forgot there's a
Was it like an original character within the Kingdom Hearts?
correct.
Okay,
Yeah,
okay. I
there's
thought maybe it was
there's
like
like a mastermind behind.
I thought it was like maybe
everything.
like the villain from like the Little Mermaid.
Ursula?
Yeah, Ursula. Yeah, I was like, I'm
No,
thinking-
but it's crazy. There's so much lore, and there's another game that takes place like I think thousands of years before Sora's storyline with Kingdom Blades. They got Keyblades.
Wow.
Kingdom. Yeah, it's crazy. I played that as well. But the most recent one, which is Part 3, remember Part 2 came out. I was in middle school, I think, or starting high school when Part 2 came out. I believe. I got to look at the dates. Part 3 came out. What? Maybe 5 years or so.
yeah, not that long ago. 'Cause I
Kingdom
remember
Hearts
watching.
2005.
Yeah.
Wow.
So I was in what?
I would have been
10th
in
grade,
I
maybe?
would have been in 5th grade at the time.
2005.
Yeah.
I was probably like freshman.
For me, it was
sophomore.
easy because every year
Yeah.
went according to my grade.
Yeah, 358 2 days is was the Nintendo DS. That was the Game Boy version. One of the Game Boys. 3D Dream Drop Distance. They had the Kingdom Hearts X, which was in 2013. That was for like mobile
lot of
Androids.
games.
Yeah.
But Kingdom Hearts 3 was 2019. And
Yeah.
this, well, from Part 2, you get the new forms. That's why you
Yeah.
see my collection is
Yeah,
different
yeah.
forms of Sora. In Part 2, he gets Valor form, some magic form, ultimate form, master form. But Part 3 is, I like that because it introduced a lot of different worlds.
Yeah.
Monsters Inc., Toy Story.
Yeah.
I remember Toy
They
Story.
started bringing in more like Disney franchises. and
Because
then-
the other ones they brought them in, but there's so many Disney stories, so
Yeah.
you're waiting for them to bring in more.
Yeah.
So when Part 3, and they're already making the next one, so I'm gonna be getting that, man. It's
Let me
a
see.
lot.
Oh, that was PS2, right?
Yeah, that was PS2.
The most underrated games I ever played on the PlayStation 2 were the Lord of the Rings games.
Oh man.
Lord of the Rings.
What is Lord of the Rings?
Lord of the Rings is this epic fantasy tale, and now the next 50 minutes, George will go on a TED talk. No, but the Lord of the Rings: Two Towers and Lord of the Rings: Return of the King. Those two
Man,
games.
I
on
just watched the
PS2,
movies. I ain't playing no games, bro.
Trust me, you would like
Those games
these
are fun, man.
Yeah, they're
Those games
fun
are fun.
I've seen
Helm's Deep.
Yeah.
The Helm's Deep level.
I've seen
the Helm's Deep scene and level.
classic videos of people
Yeah.
playing the games.
Yeah, like I played those games heavy on the PlayStation 2. I'm trying to think. I can't remember the name.
I think after PS2,
Bro, like the OG Battlefront games.
yeah.
Oh,
on
those
the
were good.
PlayStation
Yeah,
2,
I
yeah.
remember one thing I always loved about those OG Battlefront games is you would actually rank up as a soldier. I remember each map you'd be like, oh,
Yeah.
I forgot the ranks, but you would actually rank up.
Yeah.
You're like one.
See, I didn't get into all those type of games just because I was already consumed by RPGs. There was so many,
Yeah.
Kingdom Hearts, Final Fantasy, 10, X2, all of them. Because after that, I didn't really get into PS3. I started getting into Xbox.
I never got into PS3 because my mom got us
into
an Xbox.
and
Yeah.
that kind of set the tone for.
We didn't really. It's funny because we've never really asked for a console. Like my mom and my dad just would elect. They kind of would just elect the one that we would use.
Yeah.
And
We went from PS.
They had money back then. I'm here. I had to beg for something. And I ain't get nothing.
We went from PS1, PS2, Xbox, and then from then on we stay with Xbox.
Yeah.
Yeah, and from that
Same
point
here.
on, from that point on, it was just us like, asking, or we were already working, and we get the console.
Yeah, I bought all the consoles, or I got them as gifts after
Yeah.
that. But
Before we move on to, I don't know, P, we're gonna move on to PS3. I have to. I have to.
I think no, we should
To
go
go-
into Xbox just because of the games we
yeah.
play. Because I want to move forward to like stuff that we started gaming
but
with.
PS2, Metal Gear Solid 3, Snake
Oh,
Eater.
so I don't know anything
Eater.
about that. So you guys,
Man, I played that
Hands
game.
down, probably in my opinion, that's my favorite Metal Gear game.
Yes, it's a really good
Yeah.
Metal Gear game. I played.
Even though Phantom Pain is really good too.
I played Metal Gear Solid 3. I don't know how. I completed that game at least like 5+ times.
Yeah?
Yeah, that game. The story, such like
Yeah.
a good, like fun 1960s cheesy James Bond Cold
Yeah,
War
yeah.
espionage game. Just like the little, like the camouflage, like the mechanics of the game,
Yeah.
the survival aspect of the game. Just
I think
it-
the Phantom Pain is what I played.
Phantom Pain, yeah, that's a good one. Though.
And-
yeah,
It was like free.
Not
Yeah.
even mentioning the storyline of how I feel like how good it was. I mean, I didn't even mention Metal Gear Solid 2.
hashtag I love you Kojima.
Yeah.
Hashtag smoke a cigarette with me Kojima.
I mean, I know anyone who's played Metal Gear. I mean, I feel like most adults will play Metal Gear Solid 2 and they'll be like, I don't know what happened. Metal Gear
That was
Solid
like
2.
with Raiden,
Yeah,
right?
y'all talking
Yeah.
another language because one was close enough to
Yeah.
me.
I mean, Metal Gear. I mean,
Outer
Me-
Heaven,
Metal
baby.
Gear Solid 2 like introduced me to like the original idea of memes,
Yes.
genes, like Richard Dawkins memes idea, like the philosophical idea. Yeah, like that game was way too intense for well, how old was I?
Well,
Like
even for us,
9-year-old. Like
that's what I'm saying. I'm surprised I was able to manage RPG games.
Yeah.
At that age.
Yeah, there's a lot of games that I've replayed as an adult that I was like, oh wow, that concept really went over my head as a kid.
Yeah, like the whole idea of the internet, like
Yeah.
the just like, controlling your life. It was really interesting for Metal Gear
Yeah.
Solid 2.
Hey man, and before we move on to like the online gaming aspect that when we really started getting into, I gotta touch on the early PC games we've played, because my PC experience all started with I think it's Dinosaur Tycoon.
Dinosaur
Right?
Tycoon,
Like
yeah.
Dinosaur Tycoons, Sims, and of course,
Oh yeah.
Shogun
Total
War, the first one, man.
Yeah.
Oh gosh, yeah, I love
It's
that.
crazy.
We got out of some random Big Lots bargain bin.
Yeah,
I remember that.
Yeah, it took everything in my power to convince my mom to like get this game for me.
Yeah, those
Yeah.
like that was probably my first strategy like type game of Shogun
Yeah.
Total War. The idea of having to raise an army, expanding your
strategy
borders.
games were big at that time too. I just
Yeah.
realized that. Yeah.
That's one thing too. Like we grew up with a lot of strategy 4X type games because we played Shogun Total War till gosh, I don't know what, and then we got into like Shogun. I'm sorry, Total
Rome?
War Rome.
Rome Total War. Yeah.
Yeah.
Sid
Civ.
Meier's Civilization franchise. But yeah, like those. Yeah, I know there's a lot more to PC gaming, but those are the ones that we did, and to this day, I still play a lot of. When it comes to PC,
Yeah.
I mostly play
Like the,
just
the
4X
last
strategy
4X
games.
game I've been playing is Stellars.
Yeah,
Space, Dune-esque, like
What's
intergalactic
that? The
empires.
new game that's supposed to be coming out? The
Starfield.
Starfield.
With I mean
I'm
now
gonna-
we get
I'll-
we're,
yeah.
if
It's
we're
about modern time now. Like,
no,
Yeah,
but
it's
if we're gonna get into
definitely
Xbox, you just remind me because that's Bethesda.
Yeah.
Oblivion.
Oblivion.
Oh yeah.
Moving
Oblivion
on
was
from
good.
moving on from
yeah.
like Fable being my major first
Yeah.
RPG, Oblivion being like
But
of-
before we, just gotta mention though that Devil May Cry was a big game. So
yes,
I
Devil May-
can't believe I forgot
Yeah,
about Devil
yeah.
May Cry. Oh
but,
my
but,
god!
but we could spend like hours talking about about that game.
We can't go into these games because it's hard. Every one of the games that we
Yeah.
talked about, we could go in
Oh
on.
yeah. For real.
Yeah. Oh, Devil May Cry. I
Every
remember
the sequels, the trilogies we can go into.
I remember
but yeah,
when
I just,
Devil May Cry what came out. I was a freshman, and I convinced my mom to not let me go to school, and I played that game
hardcore.
all day.
Such a good game. Dante,
Oh
man.
my god, that's game. It's so good. I love that. I love the Devil May Cry franchise.
I played all the way up to the most recent one.
5, right? I think it is.
I think it's 5.
Oh, it's so good.
I just like the whole demonic stuff.
Yeah,
and then-
Yeah,
I like
yeah,
that.
like
I
the
just
whole-
remember it was a
it's an
unique.
interesting
While we were playing, it was a
take.
unique atmosphere for like
Yeah.
its
I know.
time.
Parents
the
always thought it was
music-
crazy because I like all this demon stuff.
Yeah, it was cool because you know what it was for me? It was like a new take on because we grew up a lot on Castlevania, so we played a lot of
Symphony of the
played,
Night.
yeah, we played Castlevania. So for me, playing Devil May Cry, it felt like a
Such
fresher.
an advancement
Yeah.
and that CGI, man.
It's like a more futuristic Castlevania.
Yeah.
and it was it's so good, so good.
But yeah, like within the RPG games, like I have Oblivion, the Fallout games. Those games like
Yeah.
New
really
Vegas.
for New Vegas, like to
And the
this day, I
Elder
think is the
Scrolls,
best
like
one.
Skyrim, is a good one.
Skyrim is going to be released on like this microphone next year, probably. It's been released on,
On
every
everything.
possible
Yeah.
platform.
It's like the 80th time it's
Yeah.
been
And I played
remastered.
Elder Scrolls since like PC days, like
Yeah?
the early PC.
You played-
days.
was it Morrowind?
You played-
Morrowind.
Yeah.
The
You played
original, yeah,
Morrowind?
back in the
Oh,
day.
That's
wow.
pretty wild that you
On
played
the-
Morrowind, bro.
That was
Morrowind-
legit, but
Morrowind's like Oblivion's fun.
yeah, no,
Oblivion's fun,
I
but
just remember
Morrowind,
that.
because Oblivion went more of like almost like a traditional, more of a
Yeah,
and Skyrim
no, I
even
was a
went
youngin'
more
for
of a
sure.
traditional like fantasy route. But Morrowind, it's Morrowind's lore.
I
with-
didn't have it, but my cousin did, and I just remember Morrowind because we used to hop on AOL instant messaging too, and get in chat rooms and then play some Morrowind.
Yeah.
That's funny.
That was the good old days.
Yeah, because Morrowind, I think when they did Bethesda did Morrowind, their main writer for the whole Elder Scrolls series was still a guy called Michael Kirkbride. His writing, when it comes to like a mixture of like like mixing all the religions he studied,
Yeah.
and very interesting like concepts of fantasy with
Yeah.
like one of the main characters, like the warrior poet Vivek. Remember I kind of
Yeah,
went into
yeah.
it with you. It's very interesting because Oblivion went more like mainstream of fantasy. Skyrim went real mainstream, like
oh yeah, Skyrim.
dragons.
Yeah,
you know.
yeah.
But
Dragonborn.
Skyrim and Oblivion are so fun. Because it gave you one thing that I loved as a kid with Oblivion was Fable. You had a set character, right?
Yeah.
You can only change a character with his actions in the world.
Yeah.
Oblivion took it a step farther when it comes to character customization because you could actually create your character. You had different races. I think my first character. I was an Imperial. I'm pretty sure I was an Imperial. Every character looked horrible. Every character had like some weird. The graphics of Oblivion were horrible.
We ended up playing what was it?
Elder Scrolls Online?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was
I
like a
hated
high
it.
elf or something.
Yeah.
Yeah, it didn't hit like we thought it would. Yeah,
I do like how the high elves look in
I had,
Skyrim more.
I had dragon powers for my high elf.
I do like how they're the Elder Scrolls take on elves is rather than like more of a Tolkien-esque elf is like
Yeah.
they're beautiful, they're graceful, they're almost alien-like
Yeah,
in
yeah,
Elder
yeah.
Scrolls. I always like that
I
aspect of it.
especially with the high elves. I
Yeah.
like that it was pretty much alien.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Good games for Xbox, but one thing obviously Halo was a big thing.
Yeah, then
and-
then we got into the online gaming, right, which was like kind of revolutionary in that aspect to like legitimately battle other humans across
Crazy,
the world,
yeah, Halo-
across servers.
I know it's died down a little bit right now just because of all the changes and the team and all that. But
Yeah.
Halo's gonna always stick. Like I got Steve Downs' signature on that golden Funko there, man. I met the guy.
I love,
nice
like-
guy, man. He's obviously he's an older gentleman. He's been doing this for a long time, but he was very nice meeting him.
Yeah.
Met him at MegaCon, and it was great just to see him. Like I told him, you're a legend.
Yeah,
I've been playing your game since I was a kid, man.
Absolutely.
So that, and then we do got to bring up the Black Ops games, but specifically the one that got us into being friends. And,
Yeah, Black Ops 2.
And
Right? It was
yeah, Black
Black
Ops
Ops
2.
2, right?
It started off like our journey as being buddies, and,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
not only we work together, but it's different from having a colleague than actually going home and gaming. And
Yeah,
just,
having a
and
friend.
having a friend, shit talking online, and just having fun, man. It was
Yeah.
so good, man. Black Ops
Hours.
2 was probably, I think, the best Black Ops games
I think so too.
to this date.
I think so too. Yeah, because I remember we started. That was the initial game we started gaming on.
Yeah, we played
Yeah.
that. We
And
played
I-
some Halo 4 when
Yeah.
Halo 4
Yeah,
came
but
out.
then Left 4 Dead.
Oh, yeah, we got into Left 4 Dead. Yeah.
Left 4 Dead.
You
That
ever play Left 4 Dead?
I played, but I don't think I ever played with you.
No.
I ended up meeting Old Man Jenkins, aka
Twisted
Twisted
Twix.
Twix. Later on, when we played Battlefield 1.
Battlefield.
I've never been a fan of like generally FPS games, but Battlefield 1 was
Well,
my.
I played with this guy for a couple of years before I actually met him in person.
That's
Yeah, I
funny.
was like, oh, that's
Yeah.
how you look. Yeah. But yeah,
Put a
Battlefield
voice and a face together.
support. We had the medic and we had the assault.
I was the kamikaze, man.
And
I'm
then,
going in.
and then complaining about campers when he would just run into the field and just get shot. Those aren't campers, Matt. Those are just snipers.
Yo, because they hide it, man. They come face me.
But
Come
yeah, we
say
had-
it to my face.
We had a lot of good memories
That
with
was
Battlefield
fun.
1. Yeah,
Yeah,
a lot of good memories.
We played that
Unfortunately,
for a solid year.
Good. Lots of
no, a
hours.
lot more, man.
More than a year?
I would say almost 3 years, honestly.
Remember, they were consistent with the DLC release too.
That's true.
Um,
We played that hard.
and then obviously anyone
I was
we
ranked.
played 5 when it came out, but we didn't play
Yeah,
as
but
hard.
yeah, I
as
was
like
gonna say
that,
anyone
not like
out there
that.
who's a Battlefield fan, we all know how Battlefield 5 ended up, and I haven't even
Yeah.
touched 2042.
Oh, heck no.
I haven't
no.
even touched 2042. So
Yeah.
yeah.
But
Just,
that kind of brought us
whoever's
together.
responsible for it now, I think it's still Dice. I don't know. Just replicate what you
That's
did
the-
in Battlefield.
But that's
1,
the problem is
period.
that it's a lot of the community. They don't like that old school. I like that. I like going back in the day. And
I liked
and
World War One is a really good. I
was
think it was a good
fun.
setting.
It was a
'cause
good way to bring back
trench
because
warfare
we're so
was fun.
constantly bombarded by World War II games. I
Yeah.
think that having something because that game, look at Battlefield 1, it's gorgeous. It's gorgeous, and you compare that to what
just- and the-
2042, and
and
you're
the
like
feel of the game, because even
the
5,
gunplay, the sounds of the
Yeah,
guns.
it was good.
They're
E-
different. Yeah,
even the movement of your player character was it felt more grounded.
Yeah.
You weren't
Yeah.
diving, running like at the speed of like Captain America, like
Yeah.
jumping every. Yeah,
it's not like Call of Duty. Yeah.
Oh, Call of Duty.
I love Call of Duty. I understand it has its niche, but the experience that I
the
got,
worst map on. I don't know the last Call of Duty I played with you guys. Which one was it?
Modern Warfare.
Modern
the
Warfare.
First one.
I never been a Call of Duty fan, but I played it because I was
Modern
playing.
Warfare 2 was actually good.
I was playing it with these
that.
guys online, and
the newer Modern Warfare,
and-
not the original. one.
and
Yeah.
the level has
Shipment.
I
the
did-
shipping containers.
Yeah, Shipment. That's
I
the
like the
level.
World at War.
Oh my god,
for the
you would
zombies.
spawn. I'm like, I never understood the fun of it. For like, I'm pretty sure some people out there just like really like that fast reaction
Fast
type,
pace, yeah.
fast pace. There's nothing wrong with it. But for me, like when I like front lines on Battlefield 1, when
Oh,
it was
yeah.
an actual front line.
Oh
Like,
yeah.
Yeah, you have to be tactical.
And
to
then you're like, oh yo, hi, I want to spawn on you.
Yeah,
Yeah.
how many players was it on both? 16?
Shoot, that was a lot.
62,
62?
64.
So 64
And we
or
played.
62
Remember,
players.
we played the beta too before it even came
Yeah.
out.
Yeah,
were playing,
pushing
we were
back
playing
and forth.
hardcore.
Yeah, we played that game hardcore, man.
See,
Yeah,
those are the games that I'll pay full price for.
Yeah. Yeah, and it was funny too because I remember we talked a whole bunch of shit too about that game when it first came out because it had its problems. It had
yeah.
released with a lot of content, but
But we
think it
dude,
back to
we
Battlefield
played that.
1 and you're comparing to like 2042 now. You know what I mean? It gets yeah.
It, wa-
I don't know if you
it took
I know
a
I
big turn after
Yeah.
after they came out with the next Battlefield games.
Yeah.
Matt, did you ever play any of the Mass Effects?
I played the first one, but man, I did not like it.
Okay, because Mass Effect is always considered like
Oh,
one of those
man.
like at least top 20 best games of
Listen,
all time.
No,
We're
I
talking
didn't
about
grow-
video games. All right, let's get into the good stuff.
Yeah.
So, probably up there with, I would say, in my top 5 best video game experiences I've ever had is a game that's right up front there. That's Witcher 3. The
Oh, yeah,
Wild
Witcher-
Oh
Hunt.
my god, yeah, I brought it completely forgot to bring it up.
Oh my god! Talk about a
Such an amazing-
masterpiece. Let alone not even, and I'm not even talking about the DLCs.
I recently bought the DLCs. I'm gonna buy them, but
I bought the
was-
first one.
I was postponed because
But I
of
haven't-
Diablo 4.
I'm gonna be honest. I haven't
But I
played.
have to play them.
I haven't touched
Yeah.
that game in so long.
Yeah, we gotta. So like the 3 games I want to touch on right now specifically, it's gonna be Witcher because now we're gonna talk about legitimate games that have shaped me as an adult. It's gonna be Witcher 3, Wild Hunt, The Last of Us, and Red Dead Redemption.
1 or 2.
Part 2.
You know, I'm gonna tell you right now. I never played Red Dead.
What?
Never played.
Either?
Never played.
Wow, that's wow.
I never. I'm like I
Never pl-
barely played a lot of the newer Grand Theft Autos, and that's just like a Wild
we
Wild
never
West
mentioned
version
Grand
of
Theft
Grand,
Auto.
of Grand Theft Auto.
I never even mentioned Grand Theft Auto. And that's something
Yeah.
I played. The
Yeah.
Grand Theft
Yeah.
Auto 1
The-
GTA.
the-
Like
I played,
what
what
you
do
know,
you call it?
it's
The-
like a
the
top
overhead,
view, like
top view?
overhead
Yeah.
view. Yeah,
I
yeah.
played Vice City and San
Vice
Andreas,
City,
but that
yeah.
was
Vice City was
it.
fun.
I kind of grew out of that. I was more into like,
Yeah, like GTA.
and that's what
I
Red Dead
respect-
gave me. It
I
gave me those
respect-
vibes.
I played
of-
Liberty City. where you're
That was GTA 3 in Liberty
the
City.
first 3D open
Yeah,
world
yeah,
one.
yeah.
We played that. Well, we played the overhead, the top view one, the Liberty City,
Vice City.
Vice
Vice
City,
City for
San
me-
Andreas.
San Andreas
That was it.
good.
I stopped-
We never played 4 because that's like we mentioned earlier. We stopped with the PS2.
Yeah.
and I'm pretty sure 4 was for PS3.
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
when we played GTA 5.
Yeah.
See, I stopped at San Andreas.
And my favorite one is Vice City, and I think it's mostly because
The club.
Miami.
No, because we're from
Club.
Miami.
Yeah.
Yeah, like so I got that.
Just that era
Scarface.
of like, Scarface. Yeah, that era.
Yeah, like
1980s.
I played that game too.
which one?
Scarface.
Oh, there's a Scarface
Oh,
video
there
game.
is-
That's
You never
true.
played it?
I never
Wa-
played that
you just,
shit.
Wow, you activated another memory. Remember that Godfather game?
Wow, yeah, the
Xbox.
Mafia Godfather games. Yeah,
That
those
game was
two-
pretty fun.
You
Yeah.
never, but the fact that you never played, dude, it takes off right at the end of the movie
Yeah,
before
yeah,
he
yeah.
gets killed.
I
You turn
remember.
around, you kill the guy that was gonna kill you.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
you go back into getting money and
Yeah, I remember
laundering it and getting it clean. It was crazy.
I never played it though. I never played it because I think I was just. Vice City gave
Yeah.
me like
Yeah.
the Scarface experience that
Yeah.
I wanted. You know what I
It was
mean?
good. I
Those
played it.
Godfather game because I think those Godfather game that we played on Xbox was set a little bit after World War II, New York.
Yeah, yeah,
And
yeah.
I don't know-
And you would like you rise up.
You-
in the,
you rose up in the ranks
Yeah.
of the family.
The Corleone family. You were like an enforcer. You would have to go around like to like bakeries or like other like stores here and there
Yeah,
and like
extort them.
and extort them. Yeah,
Yeah.
and then fight other. It was a fun game. It was a fun game.
It was a fun game. It was a cool how like you
was a
went
little-
up in the family.
It was a bit different than like the the regular GTA games at the time.
because it was the Godfather game and then Mafia. Remember there was those two that
I
like
we never played those. The other
Yeah.
like open world like crime crime spree type game was
Yeah.
Saints Row.
Yeah.
Oh,
See,
man,
I think I
look,
played the
Saints
first
Row
or second.
the first
Saints
one was
Row-
good.
Saints
But that's
Row-
the thing. A lot of these games kept taking after Grand Theft, and I was like, I didn't really get into it.
But Saints Row for me, it had its own like personality to it.
Yeah, it did.
Then they went full on goofy.
Yeah,
like just
right
like
now it is
over
I don't
the
know
top.
What the
Like
fuck
one
it
of the
is
last.
now.
yeah.
It must have been like the last like 5-10 years. The one I was like, oh, remember what was his name? Johnny Gat. One of the like the
Yeah.
he was like
Johnny Gat.
Save Johnny Gat from hell.
What?
Yeah, I remember
Oh my
that.
goodness.
That was a while back.
Screw
While
that.
back.
Yeah.
But yeah, they went their own route, and for me, it was horrible.
Yeah, man. What else, what was the one? And then like now we're playing Diablo, right? And I know that this is my first introduction to the Diablo franchise.
First,
Yeah,
like,
for
for
me.
both of us, our first like ARPG.
Yeah. So
That's the first for me.
So right off the bat, like I love this game. You know, like this is my first experience into this world. I love the lore. The lore's
Lilith and the sister is
Engaging.
amazing.
yeah. Just the the lore of
another
the game
episode.
is great. But I know there's a lot of OG veterans of the Diablo
yeah.
franchise that look
I met
at
some
this
people
one
that
and
like,
they're
yeah, I
like,
played 3,
"No,
I
this
played 2. I'm
sucks."
like,
and then like they don't
Okay.
like 4. They're like, no, it's not what it. So I can't speak on those other
Yeah,
ones. But
I mean, some complaints I've seen, like for me, it's understandable. But like some classes, there's only like like 1 or 2 meta builds
Yeah.
that everyone's striving for.
what about that bone bill, bro?
Matt's coping with that bone
Coping
build
with
over
the
there.
bone bill.
What about
But,
the bone bill?
And then some other people are like,
Liars,
for example,
man. Y'all liars.
Did you get the $70 regular standard edition?
Yeah, I got whatever you got.
Yeah,
I picked
right.
up
It was
from
like $70 bucks,
Target,
right?
Yeah.
So I paid $70 for it. At this point, I don't know how many hours I have, but I definitely know it's been more than 30 hours.
The things I'm
For
seeing
me,
on,
that's worth like
Yeah,
the $70
yeah,
bucks.
but the
Some
thing
people
is-
are like reaching level 80 plus and like this game's horrible. I spent 1,000 hours. I'm like,
but I can tell you
what
why.
do you
though.
want from an entertainment? Like,
So I'm gonna elaborate because I saw some posts on Twitter
Okay.
about this stuff. Is that you're pretty much just going to floor and floor, just killing enemies.
especially from the looks
really
of
Yeah,
it.
but that's the thing
we're
too, right?
level 58, right?
I'm at 60.
Oh yeah, I haven't played in a bit. 60.
That's the last time we played. I played the next day and I got to 60.
Okay,
and I
I'm
just stopped.
55.
57.
Okay, 57.
And I think that's what it is.
And I think
It's
at the
that
point
they just-
after level 50, I mean, I feel like we're
50
we'll
for
get
sure.
more into this like in the Diablo 4 episode,
Oh,
but
yeah.
like to be like short with it after level 50, it's only like equipment, like just like slowly getting better equipment,
Yeah,
better equipment. So
yeah.
I can see why some people are like, oh, it's just a grind after going through dungeon and dungeon and
What
dungeon.
game isn't a grind though? That's the way
But
I.
the little that I know about ARPGs, they've always been this way.
Yeah.
You know, like like you
what
don't
are you
go,
doing?
like we were talking about.
What are you doing in Pokemon to beat the Elite
Yeah.
Four? You know what I mean? Okay, like
It's the style of. It's just the style of the game because you don't
I
expect
can
to.
understand talking
Yeah.
crap.
You don't
but-
go into like Red Dead Redemption 2 and be like, oh man, there's gonna be a grind.
Yeah.
You know, Red Dead Redemption 2
Yeah,
is
but I'm
it's
also-
it's a narrative. It's
You-
a
you
narrative.
know what
But
the
I'm
game-
also not training my Charizard to like level 70, and then I go, God, what a grind! That's your problem.
Nah, I
Stop
got
grinding.
I got
I
a
saw,
level
like, if you-
100 Charizard. Don't mess with me, man.
All right, you rare candy missing,
Yeah.
missing
No,
no
I don't-
cheat over
the-
here.
the surfing up and down,
bro. I'm doing that hard, real stuff.
Anyone
bro.
who's played
Sweat
Pokemon-
and tears.
Anyone
man.
who's played Pokemon Blue, like the class,
Missino?
the
Missino, yeah.
classic cheat of just like swimming up and down in Cinnabar
Yeah,
Island, right?
yeah.
But I mean, I've seen a few people complain about like the grind, right?
That's
if-
what people say about Destiny, man.
If
But that's any
I feel like
loot-based
if,
game.
if
really,
a game
is.
turns into a grind for you,
touch grass, bro.
no, even no,
I don't want to go grass, bro.
true, but even better, don't play the game.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If a game's a grind
if
for you, don't
want-
play it.
Well, if you want good loot, and it goes to like Destiny. Destiny 2 is probably one of my favorite games. I'm 100%. I am addicted to that game.
Yeah, he is.
But if you want good shit, you gotta hustle for it. And if you're gonna hustle, that means you gotta grind. And you gotta put in the hours and time.
Why
you know?
why don't you just play a different type of game?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because
I've always been more of a narrative driven /
Yeah.
RPG game.
But I like games like
Witcher,
this.
Yeah.
Witcher 3.
Witcher, God of War,
Yeah.
Give me-
Last of Us.
Give me like meaningful,
you
meaningful
have to
choices.
put in the time.
Don't give me the illusion of choice when you're doing a, and Witcher 3 I think to this day has it the best when the choices actually matter in,
Yeah.
in a certain
Yeah.
quest when you're on like a Witcher
And I think-
contract or
and now we're thinking about. I think that The Witcher 3 will be a good episode to do just because the lore behind Witcher
Yeah.
3 and the
What-
story.
Yeah.
The
Once-
story is really good. I would love to do
once
that.
I finish both DLCs, well rather all of us, I think we
Yeah.
should do both DLCs. We've all seen. I think most of us like. I mean, if you're watching this, you are like part of the nerd culture. You probably seen like the Witcher
Henry
reviews.
Cavill and the
So
show.
I haven't seen it. Looks bad, but
I haven't seen the new stuff.
I've been watching it. So.
you said,
Yeah, I'm on the third season.
okay.
I haven't watched the new season. I just haven't watched the new season. But the game, we're talking about the game. The game is a fucking masterpiece.
Games, yeah.
The game's a masterpiece.
CG Project
That's
Red
why people are pissed off.
hit-
This was CD Project Red before the Cyberpunk debacle.
Yeah.
This is one major criticism I always had of like the Elder Scrolls game is they're always scaled down versions of the actual city. Obviously,
Yeah.
you can't have
Yeah.
you can't have middle of Skyrim. You can't have Whiterun with 20,000 citizens. The game, your Xbox.
What do you mean?
Oh, yeah.
What do you mean I can't have Coruscant?
Like, come on, man.
Like the
you
Xbox.
said it's open world. Why can't I just, Now, it's open world to a certain extent. Because you introduced me to The Witcher.
I did.
Yeah, but
I did.
to this
yeah.
day, for me, the best fantasy, free city type map I've seen has been Witcher 3.
Yeah. And that's why I got into it. Because,
Novigrad.
Novigrad, yeah.
Okay.
You
Wow.
actually get lost in Novigrad. You'll never get lost in Whiterun.
Yeah.
You'll never
Yeah.
get lost in like any of the cities in Skyrim.
I got lost in Viridian City one time. I'm just kidding. It's a joke. Yeah. It's like 3 fucking buildings.
the gym, the Pokemon,
A body of water.
And that's it. How you get lost, bro?
It was a joke.
First thing I was thinking.
I know. I saw your face and you're like,
No,
what?
I was thinking. We were 5 years old playing
no,
that.
no. I did not. No, we've always been good at puzzle solving.
Yeah. But Novigrad is amazingly like built city. To this day I remember playing
Such a good game.
playing hours in that city and still being like, oh, where's Dandelion's tavern or / brothel?
Yeah.
I still get lost.
If just to throw this out to the people watching, if there's games that you would like for us to do episodes on, let us know in the comments.
Yeah.
Drop a question or leave us a message, something, because we'll do an episode on it.
Yeah,
like,
we'll play them.
Like Witcher 3 is
Witcher,
obviously
Elder
will
Scrolls,
be,
Elder
Yeah.
Scrolls
Bro, there's so
lore is
many
amazing.
games. There's so
exactly.
many games. Look, 'cause-
Destiny 2, obviously, I can go on and on about Destiny
Look,
2.
We
Don't get me
barely touched
started.
on God of War.
God of War
We
is
barely
another
touched
one.
on The Last of Us. Bro, we barely touched on fighting games like Tekken.
Yeah,
you know
Street
what I
Fighter
mean?
and all
Street
that.
Fighter.
But at least, like, we opened the door now.
Yeah, Soul Calibur. That was one game that I remember fighting game playing on the
Soul
Dreamcast.
But that's the
Calibur.
thing,
I
so-
totally forgot to mention that.
I don't want to elaborate too much because I want to save enough content for us to get into these big,
So let's
big.
end it with this.
Yeah.
What game are you looking? What was? I was gonna say, what game are you looking forward to the most? But I don't want. No, I
there
don't
was
want to
a-
say that. Let's. How about this? So for you, of everything you've played from the minute that you've had your first gaming experience, what is your favorite game?
Oh my
To
God.
this date,
Oh, Final Fantasy VII.
easy, right off
Easy,
the bat.
right off the
Nice,
bat.
right there, Giovanni.
It's hard for me to choose, but I would have to say one of the Metal Gear games.
Which one? Which
So
one?
just pick one, man.
Pick one. Yeah, yeah. Don't. You don't have to get elaborate about it.
I will get elaborate. I
Hit the
think-
link below. You'll
I-
go to his blog.
Yeah, man.
I think I would have to choose. I would have to choose one. Yeah.
Yeah.
What would you
Okay.
pick, George?
For me, I definitely, I gotta say it too, because for me,
Metal Gear Solid 1?
Metal Gear
Okay,
Solid,
cool,
yeah,
cool.
Metal Gear Solid for me on the PlayStation 1 was earth shattering. You know what I mean in terms of how I am with lore nowadays, and yeah,
For me,
yeah.
is
the narrative.
really
is-
one of my major introductions to like genetics and my
Yeah.
love for like biology,
Yeah.
genetics, biotech, all that.
That's good stuff, man.
No.
Yeah.
And like I said, drop a comment. We'll get into depth.
Yeah,
Even if
absolutely.
we haven't played it much, we'll
Yeah.
go ahead and start playing some games. But
Definitely
we'll-
comment like the game, like what we just did right now, like the
Yeah.
game
Yeah.
that made you, the game
Yeah,
that
yeah,
really
yeah,
stood out to
yeah.
you as a child.
What game made you? That's a
Yeah.
good one right there. What's the game that made you?
All right, I think that's a good closing.
That's good, yeah.
All right, everybody, tune in next time on a Nerd Pod. We'll bring some more content and have a good time.
Peace.
Later.
Thanks for listening to
The Nerd Pod.
Be sure to subscribe wherever you listen to podcasts. While you're there, help us spread the word by leaving a rating and review. We'll talk to you next time on
The Nerd Pod.